Boxing Lowdown, and I'm back here with another video. Now, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Feel free to drop a comment if you like, and I'll happily get back to you. Now, it's been a few days since I've done a video. I apologise for that. Just been working on some separate things, but happy to keep doing these YouTube videos. Going to try and aim to do at least one a day. So let's see how that goes. But yeah, let's get straight back into it, man. Boxing news, obviously, as you all know, it's slowed down a lot since this whole coronavirus pandemic. I believe we're in like week 4 since the lockdown has happened over here in the UK. I'm not sure for particularly any other country where you might be watching from, but over here in the UK it's about week 4 since we've been in a lockdown. So as you can all imagine, the news has slowed down a bit. You know, there hasn't been much boxing going on anywhere at all in the world. So yeah, I mean, the only thing that's keeping us going right now is the news. So there was an interview with Chris Eubank Jr. on Sky Sports that I wanted to make this the topic of the video. And Chris Eubank Jr., who was chasing a Golovkin fight back in 2015, 2016, it looked like that fight could come to the table. I mean, Eddie Hearn was Chris Eubank Jr.'s promoter at the time. I think they only had like a 3-fight deal at the time, and I think this was the last fight on the deal. So they were negotiating a fight with Golovkin. They were willing to, you know, put it all out there. Team Golovkin were interested. Eddie Hearn was putting up a lot of money for it. Eventually the fight didn't happen and it went to Kell Brook, as you guys know. So Chris Eubank Jr. still kind of aggrieved that he missed out on that fight. Came out in a recent interview on Sky Sports and said that Golovkin is still his target. You know, he's always, in his mind, believed that he could beat Gennady Golovkin. And he said that, you know, that's the fight that he wants to happen down the line. So to be honest, Triple G is not going to have Chris Eubank Jr. on his radar. He's going to be looking at the likes of Canelo, securing that fight for the autumn maybe, or maybe it might be pushed back now considering what's going on. But he'll be looking at another Canelo fight, you know, the trilogy, you know, it'll be a big fight over there in America and across the world. Chris Eubank Jr. doesn't really have much to offer Gennady Golovkin at this time, let's be honest. I mean, he's 38 years old, so Chris Eubank Jr. doesn't bring a major title to the table. So it would really just be like a voluntary defence for Golovkin, or if it was to take place at £168, then, you know, it would literally just be for the money. So, I mean, Chris Eubank Jr. does hold the lightly regarded IBO title, I believe. I think he still holds that at super middleweight. So, yeah, I mean, that would be on the line. And I know Golovkin has the IBO title at middleweight, so maybe he might be tempted to go up there and grab that as well. But it's not one of the 4 main recognised titles. So I think, really, the only thing that could really attract Golovkin to Eubank Jr. right now would be the money. And Chris Eubank Jr. is not with Eddie Hearn anymore. I mean, I think he kind of, I don't know if he's with Al Heyman or whether he just, you know, has his own sort of thing going on. But yeah, it would cost a lot of money to, you know, get Gennady Golovkin over and make that fight happen. So it's not realistic. But I did want to touch on it anyway, because like I said, Chris Eubank Jr., it appeared to me, won that fight in 2016. We all know what happened with the contract issues there. They didn't get to agree on the fight. So a lot of people will say in their opinion that Chris Eubank Jr. didn't really want the fight, otherwise he would have signed a contract. But like I said to somebody yesterday, man, we don't know exactly what was on that contract for us to make a full-on decision as to whether he did really want the fight or not. I mean, we wasn't there, we wasn't in the negotiations room. So Chris Eubank Jr. will have his story, Eddie Hearn will have his story, and, you know, we all know what happened in the end. The fight ultimately went to Kell Brook. So yeah, for Chris Eubank Jr. to call out Gennady Golovkin now, like I said, Golovkin is 38 years old now. He's definitely slowed down a bit since that Kell Brook fight back in 2016 and 2016 it was, yeah. So he's slowed down since then, let's be honest. I mean, he's been in quite a few hard fights. The Canelo fights, 2 of them. Sergey Deryachenko, you know, that was a difficult fight for him. A lot of people thought that he could have lost that fight, you know, against Deryachenko, who is a top quality operator at middleweight. I mean, let's not get that twisted. He is ranked in the top 5, top 10. So he's a very good operator. And he gave Golovkin a lot of trouble when they fought. So is Golovkin just looking for, you know, the huge fights now to kind of round off what's been a very impressive career for him? Against Chris Eubank Jr., I think that Eubank Jr. does pose some sort of style problems for Golovkin, particularly Chris Eubank's energy. I think that would be like a very, you know, at Golovkin's age right now, I think that Chris Eubank's energy may be a problem. I think that Eubank's, when he gets into it, he can throw terrific combinations, and he does look really good when he fires them off. The problem with Chris Eubank Jr. though is in the big fights, he's been guilty of not firing off as much. We saw it against George Groves. We saw it against Billy Joe Saunders. You know, when he went up against those guys and they were the top quality world-class operators, Eubank Jr. didn't throw his hands as much. So, I mean, how much confidence do you have in him going up there against Golovkin and letting his hands go like he says he would? I don't know. He's obviously become a better fighter since. You know, he defeated James DeGale, albeit an out of prime James DeGale. He still defeated him. And he hasn't been that active, you know. He hasn't been that active since. He did fight Matt Korobov in December. He came out with a win with that. But, of course, that was due to the injury that Korobov sustained in round 2. So we don't know how that fight would have played out. And I was really interested in that fight. I mean, because I think Korobov is very good. And I think that he was, you know, he was winning the first round against Chris Eubank Jr. So I would have liked to have seen how that fight would have developed. And they're talking about maybe, I mean, at the time they were talking about it, haven't really heard much anything else since, but they were talking about Chris Eubank Jr. possibly facing Jamal Charlo, which is a fight I'd like to see. If Chris Eubank Jr. was to win that, then absolutely, I'd love to see him go up there against Triple G if he's still around. I think that would be, you know, I think a lot of people would take that if he was to beat Charlo. He does hold the WBC middleweight title. Canelo has the franchise title, so I guess maybe Charlo has the regular sort of title. So if Eubank Jr. was to face Charlo and defeat him, then he would have a lot more to back him up when he calls out somebody like Gennady Golovkin, and that would give Golovkin something to go for. But again, like I said, he's going to be fighting Canelo anyway, so maybe he won't be as tempted to fight him. But listen, I think that Chris Eubank Jr. in his head does believe he can defeat Golovkin. I mean, he said it from 2016, and whether you believe him or not, I mean, I guess that's down to your personal opinion. But just because I feel that he may feel that he'll beat him, that doesn't mean that I think that Chris Eubank Jr. will defeat Golovkin. I think that Golovkin ultimately all round has, you know, he's so much better fundamentally than Chris Eubank Jr. He has a great jab, Golovkin, and it will depend on his strategy. If he was to, you know, march forward and, you know, like just throw loads of punches here and there, like Chris Eubank Jr. likes a fighter that comes towards him. So maybe that might allow him to unleash some of his combinations on Golovkin, who does have a good chin. Let's be real, he does have a very good chin. But I think Chris Eubank Jr. has a good chin as well. So it'll be an interesting fight. I mean, I would like to see it. But if I'm being realistic, I just don't think that it's on the radar right now. But Chris Eubank Jr. has his sights set for that fight. You know, it was a very good interview there with Sky Sports. Make sure you guys feel free to check it out. He was also talking about Canelo and Saunders, and, you know, so he was talking about those fights as well. But interesting development there. And I'd like to see Chris Eubank Jr. more active, in my personal opinion, man. I'd like to see him more active. He fought DeGale in January of last year, and then he didn't fight again throughout the whole year until December. And obviously now there's not going to be any fights on the radar, but, you know, I'd just like to see him more active now while he's in his physical prime. I mean, he looks very good training in the gym. I saw those clips of him with Roy Jones training in the gym. And, I mean, Eubank Jr. does look very good in the gym. But I think if he was more active, then, you know, we get to see a bit more from him. And who knows what he could achieve in his career. Will he be able to pick up a real world title? I don't know. That's something for you guys to talk about in the comments. And that would be an interesting debate, actually, whether you think that he would pick up a world title. I mean, it is possible, considering the amount of world titles that there are nowadays. It's not completely out of the realms for him to pick one up. So, yeah, let's see what happens there. Chris Eubank Jr. in his career. Let me know your thoughts about him wanting to fight Golovkin. Probably won't ever get made, but I thought I'd do a video on it anyway. And thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next video. What's happening, guys? It's Boxing Lowdown here. Click the link in my bio and check out some of our brand new t-shirts which have just been restocked. We have white, yellow, red and black, all going for the low price of £15. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and I'll make sure to catch you on the next video.